All right, it is 5:30. Let's call the meeting to order, please.
Mic up.
Yes, your mics are on. I ask those who are willing and able to stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Pals. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Mrs. Talbert. Any comments to add there, Mr. Superintendent? No?
Nope.
All right, all those in favor of approving the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to number 4, visitors. All right, no visitors, so moving on to number 5, the consent agenda. 5.1 all the way through 5.10 and 5.10.5. We have the approval of the minutes all the way down to the approval of the gifts. Are there any items that anyone would like to have pulled out? No items? No items that anyone would like pulled out? All right, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Weiss. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Pals.
If I could just,
Yes.
in here, we have our gifts to the school district. I'd just like to recognize the JCs and an anonymous donor for donating to our school lunch fund. These are students who have unpaid lunches. A lot of times they get caught in that free and reduced and their application expires or they just moved, and so lunches have to be charged to accounts. And so this kind of takes care and zeroes out those balances in those situations. So we really appreciate the JCs and this anonymous donor for that very nice donation to cover those costs. Also, we have New Horizon Farms, Serena Martinez, and the JCs with contributions to our wellness center. And maybe Mr. Strasser, if you could just talk about what those donations cover in the for the wellness center.
Sure. A lot of it is the work of Tanya Schroyer, our middle school counselor. She's been working at setting up the wellness center. A lot of this money will go towards furnishings, both furniture, providing resources, and what people can access and have available for use while they utilize the wellness center. So she's getting really close. We're hoping at the beginning of November to really start utilizing that area. And yeah, we've talked a lot about how we can service students in a real positive way for their social and emotional well-being.
We're planning on that being right next door here.
Yes.
So next month we'll be able to maybe take a look at that and see how that's coming together.
Okay.
Right.
Cool.
So
Thank you.
special thank you to those people and organizations for their contributions to the Wellness Center.
All right, thank you. So I had a motion, I had a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to number 6, administrative reports. 6.1.1, Jackie.
Budget year to date looks good. We're at 24%. Last year we were at 22%. Auditors were here 2 weeks ago, so it'll be back and forth between the auditors and myself, getting everything finalized and books closed again.
Think we'll have a report next month?
I don't know.
For the audit report?
I don't know.
Maybe? Not
She
even
doesn't
gonna
know.
get a maybe out of you?
Committing to that.
You're gonna get an I don't know out of me.
No.
Any questions for Jackie?
I haven't talked to them, that's why, I could give Matt, I should probably give Matt a call to see where they're at on what they need to do and whatnot, so
And
that's
when
why
are
I
we
can't give you an
required,
answer.
when is the board required to have the audit in and approved?
December 31st.
Okay, so we do have a few more months then.
Yeah. So hopefully November, I think that's probably what they're shooting for, but I don't want to speak for them, is basically why I said I don't know.
Okay. Any questions, any other questions for Jackie on the budget year to date? No other questions? Thank you, Jackie. Moving on to 6.1.2, Ms. Melanie.
Hi. I have a couple of things to report on. For curriculum, the K-6 staff are working to implement the Journeys reading curriculum. They are in the exploration stage right now as they're trying out the different bells and whistles and aspects of the curriculum. I'm working to acquire additional training from the company on the technological aspects of the curriculum to enable staff to better integrate technology into their instruction using the tools we have purchased. There are a lot of aspects that we need to know about and know how to use better than we think we know how to use them yet. So we're working on that. I'm in some preliminary discussions with the ELA staff, some of the science staff, and some of the math staff on their curricular needs for this coming school, the next school year. Just very baseline right now. And my next steps are to update and revamp the Pipestone curriculum cycle that was established in 2013-2014. And I'd like it to follow the stages of active implementation as well as focus on resources rather than curriculum. Because we can, instead of buying a whole unit of curriculum, we can purchase resources that meet needs greater than maybe 2 things in a whole curriculum meet our needs. So that's something to look forward to. PLCs, the expectations for October, the staff's goal for October is to begin to achieve our first goal of understanding what a highly effective PLC is and how it supports our district goal of high academic achievement for each learner. And staff have expectations to meet each month. This month it included watching a couple videos, having some very pointed discussions on, what does it mean, what are we gonna do when students are not learning? And looking ahead to PLCs for next year, I want to ensure that staff have quality PLC time where work can be accomplished. And I'm beginning to look into having twice monthly late start or early dismissal times added to our calendar for next school year. So those would be 2-hour chunks of time. Currently the staff meet for 50 minutes on Wednesday mornings. The elementary is on Wednesday morning and the middle school, high school is on Wednesday afternoons. Both of those time periods, there are students in the buildings. So staff are often disrupted and pulled away from their PLC time because the students are in the buildings. The elementary have a difficult time finding where to meet because the students are in all the classrooms eating breakfast. So to have a place to meet that's where they can focus on what the task that they need to have. My next steps are to start meeting with the religious leaders of our community, the 4-H, the rec center, and community education to determine what time would be best to have activities and what sort of activities could we have for students whose parents would not be home at either of those times. So that we could have a support system for the students while the teachers are having this time to work on learning and focus on student achievement. So that's just something to think about as we move forward, thinking in the future. Nothing is carved in stone. I haven't met with anyone yet. Just once staff get to that 50-minute PLC, their actual working time is about 30 minutes. And to accomplish any SMART goal, to set forth any instructional change, when they come to discuss something that they have set aside to and said that they were going to go back and try in their classrooms, well, for them to all come back and share, well, the sharing happens and the PLC time is over. So to have a block of time where they could actually have a start, get things done, and look forward to the next time would be ideal. Schools around us, I know Marshall has 2-hour early outs on Wednesdays, or they used to, and a couple other districts have them randomly throughout the school year where they'll have a late start or an early out. I can do some more investigating on who has what right now for their PLC time. Mentoring, we've just been in contact with the mentors and the mentees via email, checking in, reminding the mentors of their monthly checklists, what they need to mentor on, and providing each group something to read, some brain building for their skill level. Some training and workshops that I have attended since our last meeting would be the Access for ELs training. I brought Tony Cunningham and Stacy Wallace to that so that we could fully understand the Access test, the data, how to use it, where to go with it. I also started working with the collaborative practices to support language learners' success. It is a webinar that will go on all year, and it's like train the trainer, so they train me to go and train one of our PLC teams to use some practices in the classroom that benefit EL students, and then they come back and it's essentially a PLC. We also did some fast training for district managers, Josh Stukel and I. I went to the district assessment coordinator training. Yay. And Mr. Enerson and I attended the first new teacher center meeting. It's the first of 3, and we're looking for that. Also, Deb Versteeg and I did observations throughout the district in the past few weeks. We did the instructional practices inventory, where we are looking at student engagement and how they're being engaged in the classroom or not being engaged, and if they're using technology and if the students are engaged in that technology or not. So based upon that data, we will plan future observations on different aspects of instruction, engagement, reading practices, so on and so forth. It's a lot of fun to be in the
Sounds
classroom
fun.
again. And then I have one quick pilot that the second grade team really is moving forward on getting a What I Need time built into their schedule for reading. It is a RTI, response to intervention / multi-tiered system of support plan that they are going to pilot. They're working using the FAST progress monitoring program that we already purchased and have, so it's no extra anything, it's already things we have right now. And so we're hoping to get that started with them, with their students in November, and then depending upon how it goes, bring it into the other grades January, and let it see, take it where it goes, and hopefully getting students the learning that they need rather than giving things a blanket approach will be beneficial to our achievements. So, sorry for the long report.
Thank you.
Busy. My position just has so many umbrella pieces.
Any questions for Mel?
How is the attendance of the teachers to the PLCs? Yeah.
That is a good question. Right now, I had them log in their first PLC time in October, and those were all in attendance. Now, this coming Wednesday, they will have to start doing a, what is it called? It's a feedback form for each time they meet, where they'll have to list who's in attendance and who's not and why. So right now, I can say they were all at the first one, and then the 2 in between, I'm not sure if they were all present or not. But I have a system to monitor that in the future.
Okay, because having been on the staff development committee years back, I mean, when they were asking for more time, and veteran teachers that were on it said they lost time because of attendance was so poor.
And I think by having it, it is within our school day now, so they should be, there's no reason for them to not be there. Although, there have been instances where I've been in buildings during PLC time and there are people out wandering. So it is a change in culture.
Yep.
And it is a change in how we are looking at professional learning communities under my leadership. Because this is how we are doing our work every day, not just on PLC day. So that's something that I would hope will take root as we move forward, so that it's not something that they feel that is taking their time or is something extra, or that they don't feel that they need to go to, that it's, okay, this is the time we get to use our student data to make instructional decisions so that we can make change in our classrooms, rather than something extra to just do.
No. And with the support that you're providing, I would think they would grab onto that and try and utilize it as best they can.
I hope so. So,
Have faith they will.
good, me too.
Any other questions?
I guess on that topic, and maybe not anything right now, but board members, maybe be thinking about what are some questions you maybe have about giving more time with a early release or a late start throughout the school year. That's going to have some questions, and I think we should probably schedule a work session to talk specifically about things like that. So if you have anything right now, or if you think of anything, if you could let me know, make sure that we do that. And then as we, I don't know if we'll have one in this month, but maybe in November, we'll start having a work session to get the ball rolling, because this also becomes some planning that we'll need to talk about for next year. And you don't do that in May, so it starts in December and January, so.
When does the calendar committee typically start meeting?
They typically met, was it last year, about in January, so.
So you're gonna want that information prior to that.
Well, I think if this is something the board is, and if we're gonna move forward with, then that has to be a consideration in the calendar. How do you put it in? Where
Yeah.
does it go? What days? A lot of things that need to be talked about, so.
And with that, Mel, you said, because you know that Marshall gets out earlier, have you talked to any of those communities on what they do with their kids? Do they have special programs in those communities?
I'm just going from memory, and I want to say the YMCA had a few activities in Marshall for certain student groups, and I'm not sure if there were others.
I'm just curious. Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you. 6.1.3, Mr. Strasser.
Hey.
Hello.
I don't know if you noticed when you walked in, but there's a little difference in the comments right now.
It looks great.
It looks awesome.
Looks really good.
I just wanted to point that out. That's one of the biggest things going on right now. Just because that's the work of Pipestone Coalition, Steve Peakman, influential in bringing that into our school. And as we go throughout the year, we want to add things like that. I don't think we'll go as big, with other things around the school, but we want to obviously get the message out based on positive community norms, and we want to enhance our school while doing it. So, very, very pleased with the work that Steve and Coalition are doing to support our school that way. There are those things in the high school. I would like to invite you all to our Commitment to Graduation program, which we're doing November 8th. It's a Wednesday. It's during the day. It's at 1:45. It's for our freshmen. And we started doing this 2 years ago in order to help our freshmen start their high school career by seeing what the end kind of looks like. It's not the exact same, but we try to replicate it. We do little things. We give them a little mini diploma, walk them across the stage. We've got a couple speakers, and we just try and give them a sense of purpose for being in high school. So if you guys can come and be part of that, we try to keep it to 45, 50 minutes, much like we do our normal graduation program. So it's kind of a special day for our 9th grade. Other than that, our staff has been talking about how we're going to do our virtual day on November 7th, and putting together parameters. So we started that and kind of getting an outline together. We'll be working with the staff on all the intricacies that go with the virtual day. So,
I've heard a lot of people, I don't know, they're wondering what's going on, what's going to happen, those type of things. I think parents are feeling not informed about the situation since it's coming soon.
yes. Right, and that's.
And me, even as a parent, I'm like, well, what, I don't know what's going, I mean, I haven't seen anything. I mean, a lot of people don't even know we're having a virtual day unless you've been to this meeting or,
And we'll be getting that information out,
Okay.
hopefully by the end of this week, what our parameters are and what people can expect from teachers,
Right.
from students, and supports that we would have in place with a virtual day. So we know it's not going to be 100% awesome.
Right.
We feel pretty confident that we can do some good things on that day with instruction and trying to do it just a little bit different.
and then teachers are going to talk to students about their expectations.
Yes.
Because I know I asked mine and she hadn't heard anything either. So I was, I mean,
Yeah, and that was one of the things that we talked about in our staff meeting last week was doing a trial run with students by this Friday.
okay,
So if they haven't talked to their students about how they like to do things and not do it a full trial, but
right,
start saying, hey, this is how we're gonna do this and this. So they should be doing that by this Friday. And
Okay.
I hope you could ask your student, hey, are we at least talking about it?
right,
And we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. So.
right.
And Deb is assisting with this, I'm assuming. Deb or Steve?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So I have in high school.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Strasser? No other questions? Thank you, Corey. 6.1.4, Ms. Bartman.
I don't need 2 mics. First off, I've been doing a new program called the Good News Call of the Day. You've probably seen that. This is something that I started because I was challenged by another Minnesota principal at the leadership conference that I went to in September. And I have seen them on Twitter, and he was talking to me about it and said how awesome they are. So I thought I'd try it, and I love it. So, and it's just a great way to connect with the community and connect with parents, and it's been really fun when they say they're in my office and I hear, oh, really? What did they do? And then I usually turn it over to the student if they're, if they feel confident enough to do this or they're not too shy. I'll say, well, tell your mom or your dad, what happened today? And he goes, and they'll go, I'm the good news call of the day. And you hear a lot of, what? What is it? What? The good news call of the day. So it's been really fun, and it's a highlight of my day. So that's been really cool. We also did a kickoff night in September for our elementary, and we held it at Brown this year. Again, hoping to alternate it back and forth between Brown and Hill. Another way to connect with our community and our parents and build those relationships. We had about 50 people more than we did last year. We served about 450 last year and 500 this year, we thought. It was a gorgeous night again. And I think we talked about possibly trying this even before school starts next year so that it's an actual real kickoff. So the last thing is that we have no electricity tomorrow morning at Brown at 6 to 8. So we're hoping it'll be on by 8 o'clock, and we will, I said, have flashlights
I was
and
saying, send a
have
flashlight.
fun and make it fun and do what you can, so it'll be exciting. So we'll do a little camp out at Brown tomorrow for a while.
Doesn't help that it's
So
dark
a couple
outside.
of little conferences I've gone to. I went to the MESPA Leadership Conference. That's why I was gone last month. And then I also went to the MassFIP Conference a couple of weeks ago, which is just for your federal programming. So it was a lot about title and that kind of stuff. And we had a couple of great speakers on equity. So it's been busy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Any questions for Tony? No questions. No questions. Thank you, Tony. You're welcome. All right, moving on to 6.2, school board member. 6.2.1, negotiations committee.
Well, negotiations committee has a tentative agreement with the certified staff.
We're smiling.
Yes. We're waiting for them to get back to us. We do have a November 15th meeting set up to make sure all the language and dates and everything is correct in it. And hopefully they will have accepted it, and we'll be able to bring it at the November board meeting then.
Yes, thank you. do have two thank yous. So thank you for giving me your $2 all the time, or whatever the cost is. This is from Marie LaRock on her dad, Bill Ehrlich. And then this thank you is from Chuck Schroyer on the loss of his mom. So I'll pass them around for you to see. Anything else? All right, let's move on to 6.3. Mr. Nugent.
Hey. Enrollment, as you can tell, was down, pretty normal trajectory there. It's you start here and then boom, you lose about 6, 7 kids. So they kind of go in and out and fluctuate throughout the months through the year. So, but we're still above what we were projected, so that's good. Tennis court update. The courts are pretty much completed. We had a walkthrough last week. There's still a few things with the fence that need to be finished and finalized, caps and levels and the screens and all of that. And then there was some landscaping and a few other little things that they needed to be tidying up. But for the most part, they are completed. People have been out playing on them, breaking them in. I don't know if you want to, but they a lot of smiles when I see people playing, and the shoes are squeaking. And so it's we're going to do a dedication tomorrow at 3:30. The tennis teams, and I believe Kyle's going to come out and take a picture for the newspaper, and so we're just going to do a little ribbon cutting. I think we got the big scissor from the chamber, so we'll have a little fun with that. And even though it came in after the season, it's really good to have them done. And so I hope the board. I know we got a big thank you from the tennis team, but it is nice to have that project pretty much come in as we anticipated, and it looks really good. So we'll continue to work probably with the facilities committee on some fine tuning with trees, and there's a few more things that we'll want to put in, but we'll do that through our maintenance budget and stuff. So, but that's all good. Operating levy update. We had our community information meeting that most of you were able to attend. Things, I guess, have been going pretty well. We did have the one question on, there kind of was some confusion as far as voting yes on number 2, somehow passing both questions, and we did clarify that, and so that's kind of what we've been out trying to get that word out, that what are your intentions with all of that. So I don't know if you've had any feedback on anything from the community.
Just that I've noticed the vote yes committee
Oh,
signs that have been
yep,
posted,
Yeah.
which is good to see.
Yep. Yeah, Chris Ployer contacted me and is planning to kind of help lead that. And we got some information to her, and then she has some of those signs that she's been distributing out. So, yep, that's really nice to have that support.
I did hear that the people appreciated the letter that you sent out. I've heard a few people say that.
Yeah, I think that was our, was that our required letter?
Yeah.
The one we
It's
just,
kind of just a routine. I mean, the notice is required, but to
Yeah.
have a letter with it as well, kind of explain it a little bit.
And the letter cleared things up for some
Right.
that I've heard. They appreciate that, so thank you for that.
yeah, so. And then we've been having people come in and do the absentee balloting, and
It's busy today.
busy, so all of that is out there, and so if people want to vote early, they can. Otherwise, it's November 7th, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. here at the middle school, high school gymnasium. We are planning to have another community information meeting on December 1st, or not December, November 1st. That is Wednesday, 7 o'clock. And KLOH, Bernie Weemy, is planning to broadcast it live, so
Fun.
I don't know how they do the
Nice.
5-second delay. I should be fine, right?
It's here at the school again?
I think we're gonna do it in, I gotta work out some of the details with Bernie, but we thought about the auditorium, and I don't, we're also looking at, can people call in, or can people send in their questions?
Right.
So we'll probably have some,
Oh, nice.
probably have Jackie running the Facebook page.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, maybe not the Facebook page. We'll keep her off of social media.
We'll put up the Twitter.
There we go.
We'll
So-
hashtag it now.
Yeah, so that's kind of where that's all progressing, and like I said, I think questions have been really good questions that have been coming in, and people are taking an interest in it, and I guess all, as a district, we just want everybody to vote and let us know if, if the renewal is a go or not, and if they can, if we can do the increase. Those are the two questions that we're asking for, and asking the voters to make that decision, so. But it seems to be moving along. It's 2.5 weeks now, so
Getting close.
coming quick. Yep, it's coming real quick. Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
must be.
Okay, not even 2.5 weeks. then. You're right, 2 weeks. Yep, it's coming quick. I also just wanted to add, I attended Phase 3 training in St. Cloud, and I know there are some board members who are going to attend that here in another
Friday. On
Friday,
Friday.
yeah, this week. Very good training. So basically about decision-making and how boards work together and hear each other, and so that was a good training. I liked it, so. And that's about all I have. I was gonna mention the auditors, but Jackie covered that, and I think we'll see him sometime.
All right, any questions?
You're always one step ahead of me, Jackie. I can never, I try, can't.
Any questions for the superintendent?
Mr. Anderson, were you going to look at having maybe a policy meeting for some policies?
Yeah, we gotta do our round of policies, so we'll have a slew of them with the policy committee, so probably try to pull them together next. There's policy, and then there's also gonna be facilities, I think will need to come together, so those two committees. Budget, not quite yet. Budget and finance will be more in December. I think we'll have an initial, I'll start laying out timelines for that. So we'll have some committee work that'll be coming up next month.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any questions for Superintendent Enerson? Let's move on to number 7, old business. Doesn't look like there is any there, so we'll move to number 8, new business. 8.1, approved transportation contract with Edgerton Christian School for 2017-18. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Botts. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Talbert.
If I can just clarify the reason for this, if you have a private school within your district, you are required to transport children. And since we do not have one, the nearest one is the Edgerton Christian School with some of our students, so we are required to transport basically to the line. So they run the bus, and we contract with them for our portion of the transportation costs. So that's what this is, and it's a yearly contract that we make with them.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Any other questions? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the transportation contract with Edgerton Christian School signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 8.2, set the date to canvass election results. Do we talk about dates first, or do we just go for the motion first?
Well, we need a date,
All right.
and maybe
Yes, please.
we need to canvass the election between November 10th and November 17th. Those are the dates that were required by law. Board needs to come together, basically approve the election results. Motion, second.
4-minute meeting.
4-minute meeting. This is one of those where you come in and I don't know what, the 13th and 14th, well, 13th I'm out of town, Wendy's out of town. 14th, we could maybe be back, Wendy probably couldn't.
Oh, the 14th? No. Oh,
That's- you
right,
got
that's
board,
that night,
yep.
yeah, that's right.
So I don't, we need to
Yeah.
meet sometime that week. I know it's the school musicals, everybody planning to go to that? That's Thursday night, I don't, could maybe do a quick 6:40 meeting.
When does the musical start?
7.
7.
June 10th, or not, because Veterans Day is observed. I was just looking at the
Well,
dates
you
that
would
it
think they
said.
wouldn't list that as a date, but.
Well, I know, right, that's why I just threw it out there.
But you know what,
but-
on my dates with meeting restrictions, November 10th and 11th are both on there.
So we cannot do
Okay,
the 10
no,
or
that's
the
totally
11.
fine. I was just throwing it out there. Yeah,
Very
I'm
good question. Otherwise, that'd be good.
That's a
I'd
pretty
go
good
for that.
catch there.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I just was looking at the thing that said November 10th. but- Yeah, what date did you throw out? Did you say that?
16.
16.
Well,
Musical.
the musical is the 16th, Thursday night at 7. Go
So
at
people are
6:30,
coming-
I don't have it
6:40.
on my
This is
calendar
a,
now.
this is a meeting, you call the meeting to order,
Right.
certify the election.
Can we do it on Thursday,
Somebody
the
else
Wednesday
can take
before
the
the
minutes.
school
I
board,
won't be
or the negotiations?
On the 16th.
Bring up.
You could do it on that Wednesday. What time is your negotiations meeting?
5, could we do it right before that?
We could do it after.
You
We
can.
do it then,
I'm
the
not here.
15th.
How do we
You
know how
don't
long
need
it'll
me
be,
here.
though?
I won't be here.
You won't be here either.
Not on the
No, you're
15th,
working.
no.
So working too.
Oh, okay.
So Marcy and I won't be here.
Okay.
But,
But if everyone else can be here.
yeah.
Depend on Lance.
Yeah, I don't know.
Lance and Randy.
Especially Lance, I don't know. if we can find him.
Let's just do the 16th.
Let's do 16th, that's fine.
Okay, just be safe.
6:40? Oh, what did we
We
say?
just to make it an even. time.
6:30?
16th at 6:30? Does that work, or do you guys want to go?
Works for me.
Earlier, or?
Mars, how about you?
I can't go earlier.
Okay, cool. So 6:30
Okay,
would be
so
okay?
6:30 good,
Mhm.
okay.
All right, so do I have a motion to approve November 16th at 6:30 for the canvas election results?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Tauber. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Pals. Any other discussion? We're good with that one. All right, hearing none. All those in favor of the 16th of November at 6:30 for the canvassing their election results signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 8.3, first reading of teacher seniority list.
Each year, we need to have our seniority list put together, so we've done that. This is the first reading. From here, all of the bargaining units will review also, and if there's any clarifications that need to be brought, or if there's any disputes, that would be taken care of. And then next meeting, we bring it for the second reading for the finalizing of the seniority list. And just so you, I mean, the importance of the seniority list, not trying to, I mean, we don't have any planned major budget issues we're facing right now. However, if something doesn't go well on November 7th, then it may be an issue. Seniority lists are typically how you determine who, if you have to reduce staff, who is reduced. So these are important lists for that purpose. And they are part of the bargaining agreement, so.
Okay, any questions for him on the first reading of the teacher seniority list? All right, let's go to 8.4, first reading of paraprofessional seniority list.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Yep. And the next one, too.
And the next one. Any questions for him on any of those? After looking at those. Anyone have any questions on the seniority list?
Nope.
Secretaries, custodians, tech assistant, and APs. All right, moving on to 8.6, student school board member criteria and expectation.
I added, last meeting, we talked about, we had some interest, so we wanted to have some expectations and some other processes, so I put together some information for you to review over. The first was the student school board application, very simple, basically 4 questions, I think, that we asked the students to fill out. If there's something else you would like me to have on here, if there's something else you'd like to see them include, or if you want me to include, now is the time.
I wondered about like a reference, like teacher reference, or, you know what I mean, or just an adult reference, or that you could contact.
Good idea.
Because that's what we have to do. That's what normal applications have to do.
One teacher?
Sure, or what, or adult, I mean, I guess I wouldn't
I would
necessarily
do
have to be,
teacher.
but I mean,
Just because it is
True.
within a school,
true.
I mean, you would hope that that person applying would have one teacher that likes them.
Right.
And we'll call their
Highly of them, I
references.
guess.
Right.
It's a good idea, Katie.
I mean, we can do one
Right.
One teacher, one community member or something like
Just
that
a
too, I
reference.
guess. I mean, just, I don't know. I mean, how, detailed we want to get on it,
Right.
I guess. I mean, I'm fine with just one teacher, but if we, feel like we want to add, since they are kind of speaking for the community as well, I mean, sort of.
Student body.
Student body.
Yeah.
They represent the kids.
I don't know. I'm fine with just one. I was just throwing that out there. If
Right.
you wanted to do it. Thoughts? Keep it at one? Teacher? Everybody good? Or do
If
you
we're
guys
gonna do
agree?
references, then we'd have to contact that reference, so do we want to contact a teacher, or do we want to contact both of them? So what are we gonna do with the references if we ask for them?
Right.
I agree, we should have a reference. It's a good idea.
I mean, it can be a written reference, so they can attach it.
Yeah,
The
Mhm.
teacher
right.
can, or it can
Right.
be attached. Like I
Yeah,
said, it
maybe
can
that
go
would be
either
easy,
way.
then that way we don't
Then
really
you
have
have
to
to contact
contact
them.
and just
Right,
have
so you
them
have
just
some sort of
write
input.
recommendation.
Yeah.
Just a little blurb.
Okay. Yeah, there is a, please answer the following questions in the space provided, not and the space. Got it corrected already.
Thank you.
That was really bugging me. I didn't want to point it out, but no, I'm just kidding.
It was me.
I
didn't even notice it.
I didn't even
No, it wasn't
notice it, I
bugging me.
tell ya. It's just like sometimes
Was it
I just.
bugging me?
The question is, did I get it by Miss Wellnitz?
I didn't even, wasn't even looking for
Okay,
it.
good, all right. On the following page is the student school board expectations, member expectations. This comes from MSBA with, and you know, they had a number of different ones, but basically, this is just kind of a reminder of what your role is as a school board member, and that they do not have voting, authority, but they're there as an advisory. They do have the ability to, request that agenda items be submitted through the development process, which is typically through the school board chair. Board members, student members may be a member of a committee. Basically, that's where, when we assign our committees, that's the logical time when a student may be put on or asked to serve on it. The student members are bound by all rules and regulations, so not that we put them in a situation where they have a lot of data privacy, but there are things that they are supposed to be held to that standard also. We do not, I guess, Deb, I made sure on this, you can give different access on Board Book, so any of the data privacy or data that we would just have more of the public view of the board agenda, and they would not always get all the things that regular board members do. School board chair is able to control the board meeting, and the student school board member would have to follow the rules and processes that all board members follow. It is not a paid position. Did say expense reimbursement, so if they ever did go to maybe the MSBA conference or something, maybe we wanted to present, and the school would be able to pay for, their portion of that that way. And then they would be a part of the tables up here, so we would have them be a part of the regular school board. So, are there any other things that you would like to see added there?
Go ahead.
I asked this just because we have our college students do this. They have to sign a disposition form, and I don't know if that's a possibility. Dispositions on what's expected. The treatment of the professors, and it's all lined up, but they have to sign a disposition sheet. I don't know if that's something that would be behavior-wise.
Yeah, that's part of the signed agreement, and they got it, and then that just.
And I know they have to sign, they have to follow the established rules by the board, but, so, I don't know. That's just what we do at college, so that's what I was asking.
Okay.
Any criteria for making successful, like academic progress towards graduation, or, clean disciplinary sort of record, those sort of things?
That is not
I mean, do we?
anything on there, I guess.
Right.
They are, I think, students are teenagers, they do make bad decisions from
Right.
time to time, so,
Right.
you
And
know,
so
I
in
mean,
college.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there are, I think there's always something that, you know, the board, what was it that's in here? Board chair will control board meeting within rules and processes. Is there something about, student members are bound by all rules and regulations within the law that bind the board? I guess there's some language there, but I don't know if you're gonna have criteria as far as
Right.
you, if you're, like, if you're in a sport and if you're failing
Right.
a course, can you attend? I mean, part of this is, usually a student who's interested in the school board probably wants to be a part of that process, lend voice, and we're looking, I think also the board is looking for that student voice. What's the perspective of the students here in this case, and where's that at, so. But, yeah, I think that's always one of those things that there's always could be potential complexities with students being here, but, you know, hopefully we can make sure that goes smoothly.
Well, and is there a place, will there be a place on here for like them to have a parent's signature? I mean, cause I just,
To make sure that the parents are okay with them participating?
yeah, and adhering to these, I mean, that, you know, I don't know,
Yeah.
you sign for sports or whatever, I
Mhm.
mean, that you understand.
Yep.
I suppose.
I can add that on there too,
I just
probably
think
that disposition form.
Probably be a good idea.
Probably just an agreement form of some kind.
Yeah.
that, You know, we've read this, we've gone through the process,
Mhm.
all of these things, and, you know.
Right.
Even looking further, I look at the conduct and ethics for the school board, and the very first one is takes full responsibility for its activity and behaviors, so.
Right.
That's part of that too,
Yep.
in addition to the dispositions, or it could be that.
Right. And these, the role of the school board is actually, this is
Right,
the real,
that's ours, and
the
that's
full
what they
school
have to
board,
follow.
this is what MSBA puts out for what your role is, and so this is where I also talk with the students about any student who's interested, and this is the roles and expectations that are here for you also, so. So, teacher reference, disposition form, and approval form of some kind, agreement form.
Agreement. Parent and
Mhm.
student board member sign?
Sure.
I think so, 2 signatures.
I was thinking that we might be looking at, a logical time would be January. You know, when we reorganize and bring
Mhm.
everything on board, that would be probably a logical time to see where that's at, and hopefully try to make that happen. Some years you have interest, some years you don't, and we'll.
Yeah, do we, potentially open this back up, in case kids have kind of heard a little bit more about it that might express an interest or something? I don't know.
That's part of what we were thinking about, because at first it was, is there any interest at
Yeah.
all? We had some students who were interested, which prompted us to say, okay, well, let's get some things together here, and then we'll kind of move
Yeah.
forward with that. So I don't think there's any problem if we kind of put that out and see where things are at.
And do that,
And then
once
do
we
this, go
approve,
through
yeah, we
this.
just have them.
Yep.
Can I advertise that for us, Corey?
I guess the one other thing is when we do get some applicants, how do we want to determine membership? Is that a board committee that maybe reviews this?
I would say, some sort
Well, negotiations usually does the.
That's a personnel side
Personnel
thing,
type
so.
thing, so I
That's
think
us.
they should sit
Hmm.
and, if that's okay with you.
No.
We do that. Our other job is
I was gonna
over.
say, oh.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't talk so fast, Tammy.
No, that's why
There you go.
There we go.
There we
Okay,
go.
so
Great.
I will do a little bit more and put a few of those things together, should have that together.
Do you want to
for
see an
everyone.
example of our disposition form? You can do that.
Well, If you can send it to
I'll
me,
send
that'd be
it to you.
fine, but
I mean, I don't know,
Send it to
maybe,
you.
it's a little.
address it to the juniors and seniors. I mean, is there a specific class that that maybe the teacher could just, since we don't say the announcements anymore, sometimes kids don't read it, or the teachers don't have time that day to tell the kids what's in the announcements. Because I doubt my kids probably check every day. But I'm just saying, is there a teacher that meets with most of these students that could tell them about this and just kind of explain what this is all about. You know, if they want to be a part of it instead of doing the announcements, or is that, I'm not saying you need to do that every day, but.
When we have things like that, we usually look at our core content areas, like our ninth grade English, for example. She has everybody. Same thing with 10th grade. I tend to rely on language arts because you
Right,
see
you
the
gotta-
majority of
yeah.
kids in the day.
Yeah.
That's how we handle similar situations.
It's just trying to, you know, get more people to hear about it that might have an interest. I don't know if there's a government class or.
Is it just junior, seniors?
I
Yeah.
believe
Yes.
so, yeah, that's kind of, I think Jeff had brought up too, we don't have anything in here, but he thought like junior was a 2-year, and then senior, and then you kind of try to get into that cycle where you're always having, you know, and then we could also have, I mean, some have mentors, so you kind of get assigned, a student may be assigned to you to be, sit next to you or whatever.
Okay.
So,
Couldn't they just send a mass email out to the juniors and seniors? Or don't they all have an email account with the school?
They do, there's probably a way to do that, I'm not sure. I've always sent stuff either on the app that goes to everybody, or through Honeywell Instant Vote, and I can send something to students through that. So those are the 2 ways I've sent information out electronically.
Okay. And thinking about the reference thing here too, do we necessarily want to require to be a teacher? Because some of these kids that may be interested in it have a better relationship with an activities person, like a coach or something. That it doesn't necessarily, wouldn't be a teacher of theirs, but.
you can make it a simple reference.
Well, yeah, I would just
You
say
gotta
it's
Say a reference.
adult ref, or, you know, I want to make sure it's an adult, though, it's.
Can't have it be a classmate.
Right,
No.
well, that's what I
No.
mean.
I don't know, because then they're going to go as their aunt.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? I mean,
Right.
I would rather have it honestly within inside the school. I mean, if you say.
Well,
Yeah.
PAS
I
staff
agree.
member then,
Teacher,
PAS.
Teacher necessarily.
slash-
Coaches are
slash
teachers,
coach,
but
I mean,
Staff?
Not every
But
coach.
you not,
PAS
you
staff.
wouldn't necessarily have that as
a staff member.
as a, somebody that you're under.
Yeah.
PAS staff or PAS.
I just can't think of many that the juniors or seniors, that it wouldn't be a teacher, that isn't their coach. Can you name one?
No, I'm just throwing it
No,
out
I'm just
there.
saying, am I missing, am I
No.
just missing that? I'm just saying if you say, Aaron, I guess.
I'm just thinking of coaches outside.
Right,
The, you know.
Right,
Yep.
school.
Yep.
Jamie's
And
got
They're still employed by the district.
Coach Gustafson.
Coach Gus.
I would just, yeah, then, but they're still considered staff, so could you put PAS staff?
Good.
I don't know. They're still considered.
We can leave it teachers, that's fine.
What if they worked with Josh, sorry for butting in, but what if they worked with Josh Dugal this summer or
Right.
the tech, I mean, he
He'd
would
still be a
be
good
teacher or
reference.
coach, he'd be staff.
Right.
Right.
He'd still be a good reference for you if, yeah, right.
I mean, as long as they know what that staff includes coaches, whatever. I don't really know exactly how to.
Faculty and staff.
Yeah,
Maybe it's a cook that they get along with really well and they know them, so faculty and staff. Good question though.
All right.
We're good?
Getting closer.
Any other questions or comments on the student board member criteria, expectations? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Weiss. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Talbert. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming.